My name is Donal MacIntyre and I'm best known as an undercover investigative reporter, and I've probably had over, I suppose, 80 covert secret identities over the last maybe 16 or 18 years. I suppose the one programme which shows the amount of preparation I put into a project was probably the football hooligan programme, where I masqueraded as a Chelsea hooligan for nearly 18 months. But it took 3 months preparation, studying, learning everything about Chelsea Football Club, watching every last video of all the greatest triumphs and disappointments, and reading every book on the subject. And I also went to the '98 World Cup in France to kind of travel with the English football supporters to get a sense of what it was like to be an English football supporter. And as an Irishman, that was quite difficult and mildly entertaining. But yeah, a lot of sophisticated preparation. And then, of course, we get to know our targets really, really well. We spend a lot of time observing and in around them and in around their world. But we normally have a Formula One kind of concentration where, you know, you're so acutely aware of the dangers in the field that you're hyper alert and much more alert than anybody else around you. And that's the secret, by, you know, just like a Formula One driver, because you're aware that, you know, the consequences of getting one small thing wrong, you know, are catastrophic. You try and cover all the bases, but still, by and large, it's mostly me kind of trying to setting it up. I was in a care home. I was a football hooligan, a fashion photographer. I was investigating, going undercover as a bodyguard in Nigerian fraud. So I was doing this all at the same time. And the complexities of that was simply keeping your head together and not being too tired, and making sure one role didn't cross into the other. I was running those roles and engaging those roles on the same day. So, but we became pretty experienced. You try and answer all the questions, but mostly it comes down to you handling yourself on the ground. A care home requires you to be pretty anonymous, you know, kind of melt into the kind of wallpaper and just observe. You know, football hooligan or doorman, you are kind of strong, you're a man of few words. If you're in fashion, you've got to be hyperactive and a party animal or play that role. So for each role there is a different kind of characteristics, but fundamentally, you know, you can't really change your accent or who you are. So you kind of gravitate a little bit more to your extrovert parts of your personality, and then you retreat back to more of those quieter areas of your personality to kind of, you know, to fulfill certain roles. But you know, there's some of the characters I invented, like for my fashion industry. I kind of missed the character after I let him go. He was McIntyre, international photographer, and the guise was so strong. I was being offered £18,000 a day to do portrait photography because I told such a good story, you know, which is much more lucrative than any work I do now, I can tell you that much. But you know, I'm always the last kind of person to be served at a bar. But McIntyre, when he went in anywhere, it was like, ciao bello, va bene. Mac is back in town. And honestly, every nightclub I went up, just turned up, doors opened. It was like, it was great. And then the show was over and I moved on. And I often think, yeah, now if Mac was here, he'd have got served 10 minutes earlier, or, you know. But so it's interesting. So in a way, like an actor, they, you know, or if you finish a book and the character dies and the book is closed, you think, oh, I missed that character. So that's a bit odd. But a lot of the work I do now, when it's not undercover, I'm still in the world, gangland world, investigating, probing, you know, challenging them. I went to a boxing match in Germany at the weekend, and you know, I'm surrounded by, you know, gangsters, and you know, they're coming up to me and saying, you know, you're not safe here. Go. I've no bodyguards, I've no security. They're saying, you know, it's not wise for you. You know, you've got a wife and children. It's not wise for you to do what you're doing. And I know these threats are coming from people who are, you know, killers who are on the run. You know, and that, you know, that rattles, which is good. It means I've not gone too mad, but that rattles, and that's still a part of my kind of daily life. Undoubtedly, the one which I'm most happiest about is the investigation into care homes. I think it's set the agenda for about 10 years, and now the BBC have done another one about care homes, which will reset the agenda, but it helped deal and protect, I think, people in elderly and learning disabled care homes for about 4 or 5 years, and then they forget about it. Scandal drives change, but not really fast enough. It's a very difficult area. We'll all be very vulnerable and need care. So I think that will be the ones which I think define me and the kind of work I do.